we should be live, but
Okay.
on the intro page. So
Okay, there is. Let me refresh.
there is, yes. Hello, hello.
Okay. Okay, there is. Okay, let's give this a 1 or 2 minutes again before we start. Not sure. Okay. I will just wait for 1 minute and then we will start, although I think everyone is going to watch this from the replay anyway, so it doesn't matter that much. Okay, some people coming in. Refresh this once again. Okay, I think we can start. Everyone, hi everyone. Can you just type something in the chat so I know you can hear me? Let me just.
Yeah, looks like video audio good.
Okay. I'll just post the link here for 1 second. Okay. Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to the second episode of the stream. Before we jump into things, we obviously sold out on the first opportunity that we could. So we have a sponsor for the stream. It's Coin Market Manager. Some of you probably know this. This is a automated trading journal, basically. Tracks your performance via APY. You can see all the statistics and everything. One of the cool things and why we took this sponsorship in the first place is that, you know, as you can see here on the pricing page, this thing costs actually $70 a month or, you know, $700 per year. But if you will sign up with the link in the description on Bybit, you will get this completely for free and you can trade it with the Bybit account you will use. So you don't have to pay for anything, you know, so I think this is kind of a sweet deal. I'm not the biggest fan of taking sponsorships just for sake of, you know, any sort of referral links, but obviously when there is this opportunity that you can actually get the thing that costs, you know, $700 per year and you can get it completely free. I'm using the Coin Market Man myself as well. I'm sure, I think Runner is using this as well. Yeah, you can use Bybit in the US with VPN, which is not completely legal, and I don't recommend doing illegal things. But yeah, you can do that in with the VPN in the United States as well. So let me start the stream off with Bitcoin and ETH as we did last week. Basically, before we jump into the things, let's have a look at the calendar. Besides the huge moves we had today, there is a lot of things to go through this week. Most importantly, we have CPI tomorrow, so there will be another very eventful day tomorrow. Then we have, you know, PPI on Wednesday. We have ECB press conference in Euro that should be a little less impact news coming from the European space, and then you have consumer sentiment on Friday. So definitely this is at forexfactory.com/calendar. Make sure to bookmark this. Be aware that, you know, you are keeping track of this because there will be definitely a lot of volatility, especially tomorrow. You know, looking at the if I'm going to take a look at the charts, let me switch this to the trading view real quick. If I'm going to switch this to the chart, you know, the move on Bitcoin from 21 to 25k, which we had in middle of February, happened during the CPI. So similar thing you can expect tomorrow with a large amount of volatility, basically. Anyway, looking at the charts, we had a quite an eventful 2 days. With Runner, we prepared a lot of charts on Sunday evening. You know, when things weren't moving, a lot of these things already played out. So that's a little bit unfortunate that we were not streaming 2 days ago, because that would have been much nicer setups. But if we're gonna take a look at Bitcoin chart, we are kind of, obviously, besides we had this like a huge move to the upside, we came back within this huge composite profile. And today I took a little long right around the US Open, which I will cover in a second. Basically looking for like the rotation throughout the profile. I wasn't definitely expecting this will happen within 2 hours, but here we are. Anyway, now let me actually open one more chart here, just the spot chart without any sort of lines. If you would take a look at this from just the price action perspective without any kind of volume profile levels, I can load the profile here, but we will ignore it for 1 second. During the weekend, we went to the -1 standard deviation of the yearly VWAP. This is that middle line right here. We bounced from that and we reclaimed the yearly VWAP, and we are now at the +1 standard deviation band. From the price perspective, we basically, you can see this as kind of a false break under the support right around this area, and we are kind of making the higher highs here. Obviously we haven't made the kind of ultimate higher high, but still we broke the structure. This was the low, this was a swing high that made this low, so the break in market structure, at least the way that I use it, happened right here. So this thing is holding up quite nicely. Ideally, what I would love to see is this to just hold up around here, make this sort of acceptance. When you make new highs and new lows, you want to see kind of a time spent at these new prices. This will be your kind of signals that market is just accepting this new price point basically. And if you are going to take a retest of something, there is much higher likelihood it's going to hold basically. You can see that on this weekend action, we just kind of hovered at the new lows for 2 days, and markets was already, all the way back at the Sunday close, which is definitely not that kind of time acceptance you want to see when looking to short something, for example. So if we are going to kind of stall here, hover around a little bit, and then manage to make a pullback back towards the yearly VWAP, I think this level right here should actually hold the price. Personally, I might be buying a spot around this area, or opening on some separate account some bigger swing trade, or buying some more dated call options, whatever kind of works for you. Entering here, stop the invalidation basically under the low, targeting this gap fill at the 28k area. So this will be my swing kind of scenario for BTC if we are not going to push towards the higher prices. The second thing that I'm looking at, we have obviously a level of resistance. This acted as resistance in middle of February, basically before we made this huge leg up. Today we had once again quite a large option buying activity. People generally buying out of the money call options expiring in the end of June for 35k, which is deep out of the money. But there are some options. Let me actually show you this real quick so you know what I'm talking about, because I feel like this is always kind of interesting part of order flow, looking at not only the futures markets but also the options market as well, which is kind of rising in popularity. As you can see here, we have the option open interest by expiration. March 31st is your biggest open interest with the expiration day, and there is a lot of call options that are around $25,000. Okay, so a lot of people now with this March expiration basically betting on the break and continuation. Someone mentioned 10% invalidation. Yeah, this is more for like a long dated spot trade rather than day trade. I can actually show this to you on the lower time frames as well. But yeah, the 25k area will be that key level you want to see break above and hold basically for any sort of continuation. You have that that option buying activity, and this is level of resistance overall. If we are going to test it, which market looks like it's going to test it quite soon, it's going to be third test of resistance basically. So more times you will test the level of resistance the weaker it gets. So I wouldn't be just trying to fade this blindly, because we are back within not even a month to it. So this is for BTC. On the profile perspective and how I would personally be looking to trade this, even though we had a huge push to the upside, and I wasn't definitely expecting that the rotation throughout the whole high volume node, which is this thing right here, will take only 2 hours, but this is still a rotational market for me. So I'm going to treat it as such. You can see on the left, basically, you have this consolidation right here, you have this consolidation, and then you have this consolidation right here. So although, the big move, this is your kind of a level of high activity. So how I would be looking at this on the lower time frames, you can see that at the bottom of the high volume node, which is basically the consolidation that we rallied from today, we have this nice kind of a level, this level of demand basically with kind of a SR on the left. I would love to see pullback into that and look basically for something like this for a shorter time trade, with trade under that, reclaim new highs. For where we are right now, I'm not really looking to short this blindly. We had a huge pickup in volume, as you can see here on the relative volume bars. This is basically the second largest pickup in volume since the FTX happened. So definitely a lot of participation today, but market seems to be holding it for now. So I'm not really looking to kind of position myself into anything. One of the scenarios for me would be with this 25k level in mind. If market is not ready to break it, we have CPI tomorrow. If we would spike above the 25k and then we started selling lower, I would prefer to sell this 24.2, I believe it is, 24.3 retest, invalidation above the high. Maybe if that would be some sort of bigger rejection like we had in February on lower time frames. You can see it right here, market pushed to the upside, high pickup in volume. This is the open interest pickup in buying. On footprint, you have this kind of a absorption type of thing with volume traded inside the wick. Then I would be quicker to try to fade it. But as things are looking right now, I'm definitely personally giving this time for tomorrow's CPI before any kind of positioning. It's always kind of hard to position yourself after the bigger move in the market. And the trade that I took today, very quickly, I know some people were asking about this and were interested. I posted a breakdown on Twitter, but this is just for me a simple high volume node reclaim. I had this level right here. If you are going to take a look at the daily chart, this is on the daily time frame. These wicks right here, basically, this is your last level of support on a daily time frame before we made that sell-off. So one thing I was mentioning is that you want to see this kind of a reclaim above, and basically as market got above it, we tried to push underneath in the morning, quickly reclaimed, and after this candle before the US opened, if you're gonna take a look at on the left side, we have these kind of a decreasing highs, so there is some sort of liquidity to be taken. We had a liquidity void right here, this very thin move to be filled, and also we had these highs right there, which once again don't have that kind of wick. So in theory, everyone basically who positioned themselves on the short side in this area is still sitting at the trade, because obviously it didn't trade above any of these highs. So this is kind of a no-brainer long for me to take to shake these people out. Then I close the trade a little above the POC, missing this last sort of wick. But yeah, this would be for Bitcoin. To kind of recap this very quickly, I'm not looking for any positions until the CPI tomorrow. If we manage to break above the highs and show some sort of weakness, I would prefer to short this under 24K, which is that edge of the high volume node. If we would just start to kind of crawling down from here, then the 22K area would be key level for me, either to open a long with a bigger invalidation or look for a day trade. Once again, you can see that one of the things that I'm look from like day trading perspective are these just kind of small failures under the local levels of support where market is going to reclaim it. You will have this kind of a absorption. I will show you in a second, and then off we go to the upside. So this would be my plan. The move up today is also thin, definitely, but when it comes to the thin moves in the market, you have two type of, these are not exactly gaps because obviously this is traded 24 hours and market didn't like gap anywhere, but you have kind of a moves that are thin that tend to be felt, which are these kind of weaker level moves into like a bigger level of SR eventually, and then you have your kind of a breakout gaps, these breakout thin moves. These should eventually hold. So if, for example, tomorrow, if we would fill this in just one candle and then market would close around here and haven't show any sign of bullishness, I'm not sure if I would be kind of fan for it, because that would be clean signal to me that's similar to the weekend lows. We didn't form that kind of time acceptance at the new prices basically. And just to show this once again very quickly on a footprint chart, if you're going to switch screens here, this is your kind of a absorption at the lows. This was a Bitcoin. You can see that inside this wick you have this large negative delta. We had some sort of liquidations. These are these red bubbles basically right here. And you have also absorption right in this area and in this area. So this is what I would be looking for in the relation to order flow. Someone asked about what would be a breakout play, meaning basically to the upside. So one of the things that I mentioned is that when we were trading basically down here, and obviously in hindsight, this is amazing kind of type of long opportunity as market, just skyrocketed 20% to the upside. But my issue with this level right here is that your invalidation is quite, huge. We had this thin rally in January. If you would be buying here, in like realistically, your stop is all the way down here under these lows basically. So for any type of breakout play, if we would just, do this in one candle basically tomorrow, it's all nice and sweet, but once again, is this kind of a issue where, if you're going to buy this, like where you are wrong, like theoretically this can just pull back largely against you basically and giving you a really hard time. So continuation for long would be something that if we would just close throughout the level, above the 25K, then make some small pullback, you have to catch these things on lower time frames and then kind of reclaim local structure. You have much more well-defined invalidation where you can take things to the upside. And then I think, really this consolidation around 21K would be the bigger target, as once again, we have a very thin move to the downside. So these are my scenarios for BTC. Someone asked about the Caulfield indicator. I'm actually using 2 standard deviations for the candles, so it looks like this very quickly. Okay, so and now it changed the colors of my candles. Nice. So ETH, basically similar thing. I don't think we have to spend too much time on this. From the profile perspective, this is also hovering at the edges of the high volume nodes. I think the resistance on the upside is even weaker. I think ETH could kind of overshoot this 1800. We have this flat top. We have these highs, which are also kind of decreasing to the downside. So definitely, a lot of positions to be taking. So for ETH, similar thing really. Generally, you want to time these things with BTC anyway. But yeah, pullback into this area should be a great opportunity. On the lower time frames, you want to see some deeper pullback with a reclaim. If you are holding this as a bigger swing trade, then we shouldn't really go under these lows right here. So you can just place a wider stop. And if we just going to straight out breakout, then some little pullback on lower time frames. These are hard to catch, but you need to pay attention to this basically. Okay, so that's it, I think, for Bitcoin and ETH. And Runner can talk about now a little bit about some narratives we have.
Yeah, sure. Let me switch screens. Actually, I wanna maybe quickly talk about Bitcoin long I took, even though I almost never trade Bitcoin. But we had such a beautiful setup there, at least how I would have had traded Bitcoin. But basically, we retested 2017 all-time high, and we discussed this last stream. So I would started entering slightly around here, right before the breakdown part of the FTX collapse. So I ended up closing straight into resistance. I know my part of this stream is not supposed to be talking about Bitcoin, but surprisingly, I've taken a long on Bitcoin as well. That went well. And obviously, as per usual, as I closed, went outside, and I came back to Bitcoin being like 10% higher. So, so yeah, happens. I mean, narratives, it's quite difficult last week, right? Because whatever I prepared during the week is already played out extremely hard or invalidated. I guess we could follow up. Last week, I was talking a bit about Silvergate and the BUSD stablecoin FUD. And potential like catch-up plays or coins that make sense in that basket, or LQTY, True, and also Maker, I believe. But obviously on Thursday, March 9th, we got a barrage of bad news. Right, it became with KuCoin lawsuit. It became with like New York Attorney General's basically calling Ethereum a security. So we had this sell-off. Then followed by Circle news. Like how much stuff happened in like last 72 hours is actually mind-boggling. But yeah, I mean, coins and setups we discussed last week. This is my claim clout moment. I'm not gonna talk about it for 30 minutes, but I took along on this as well. I mean, this is just clean. I mean, everybody on Twitter is talking about these coins, so for me now this becomes not so interesting. Every single group chat, everyone is looking to enter to bid this, and I've taken like...
This was a nice long. It had quite a large negative funding throughout the weekend, so definitely this was a decent pick to the upside. The only thing that I traded on Sunday basically was FXS, the Frax, which I because obviously during the weekend people... The smartest thing people managed to do was longing USDC, which I'm not exactly sure it's the best thing to do. Obviously, longing stablecoins that are 10% down with your overall risk of going to zero is not, in my opinion, a smartest thing to do. But definitely during the weekend there was the smart thing to do, in my opinion, was look at these coins that have some stablecoin behind them, and they perform very, very well. I wanted to long Maker as well. I managed to not do that, but Maker was, I believe, the only coin that actually made new highs, basically back above the March high from the last week. So Maker was definitely a nice play there as well. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe on the topic of USDC, what I guess could be a takeaway from what happened. I know it happened extremely quickly, but I believe it's very relevant, because if you look at projects or like USDC, cool, so that's one of the stable coins, right? But also a lot of our DeFi as we know it, or ecosystems, layer 2s, layer 1s, depend on USDC being $1, right? It's like hard coded in the smart contracts, etc. So it could cause a lot of bad stuff to happen without cursing too much. Maybe in I found like an article. I'm not really a DeFi guy, but this makes so much sense. Like for example, most of TVL on Arbitrum is was, I believe, in stablecoin. In USDC. So like a lot of DeFi based on GMX and all these protocols were like very dependent on this stuff actually working. And that's why I believe there was a lot of volatility on these coins. So basically, to simplify it, anything that had anything to do with USDC was reacting hard to the news, and obviously they bounced the hardest. I mean, GMX.
If you switch quickly to my screen, I can actually very quickly explain the logic behind the Frex short, because like you mentioned, with the FAT, obviously you can see this is FXS. Throughout the Saturday, we had this huge sell-off, the initial kind of scarcity that all the stablecoins are basically going zero. A huge increase in the open interest. The funding also coming negative. We had a long liquidations on the way down, so all these positions getting cleared. But then, if you're gonna take a look at the chart, it really didn't go much lower. And one of the things what I'm looking at personally is the areas basically where the sell-off started, and this kind of a largest increase in the open interest towards the level to the downside. It's right around this area. Once market trades above it, this is a signal that these shorts are starting to sweat. So although it's this kind of a meme, it's not a bull market, you are really a genius. When obviously everything pumps to the upside, taking trades like this, in my opinion, is kind of a better play, as you have this kind of overall narrative and obviously like reasoning in line with the order flow, where I was basically buying the pullback into like level around here. Then I closed the trade in the morning somewhere in this area basically. So this was very quickly my reasoning for the FXS short. If you're gonna take a look at the
Long.
maker, long. Yeah, and
no
the
worries.
maker was basically the same thing. Large increase of the open interest, funding going highly negative. I didn't take this because this did not really reclaim that level at first. I wanted to see this trading above these highs at first, but we kind of rejected there. On the pullback, I got long into FXS, so that was the trade I took, although this outperformed a little bit. It's the same thing basically. So definitely during the weekend, taking, I believe, which was little smarter approach rather than trying to long USDC back to the pack. Looking at these things felt little smarter to me at least. So yeah, this was what I traded, and I closed this morning.
I mean, it's technically like that was your play, betting on the repeg itself, right? Like, but instead of getting what maximum, most people.
Yeah,
like,
but definitely the idea is the same, obviously. But you have a trade like this when you will enter on strength and kind of reclaim of the structure, where you place your stop basically under kind of the local lows, target some local highs, and you have like well-defined trade basically. If the USDC would depeg, this would obviously did not work out, but see USD to USD, buying, US. Oh, this is some weird chart. But still, your invalidation for USDC or your risk is kind of this will, from like 90 cents. You buy that, some really bad news will happen. That is high probability it's going to zero basically, and you are not going to be able to exit that trade with any sort of size basically, because obviously the books will get super thin and you will get slipped so much that still I think trading stable coins, and I know that after the fact everyone was like super smart, that was like zero chance this is going to happen, but we have seen some situations in the past with UST and FTT and all these kind of things which were never going to zero, and then they went to zero basically. So I still feel like although things seem very low probability of risk, you still should be kind of doing smarter decisions and picking up trades basically where you have like well-defined stop. Obviously, if USDC would go to zero, you know, I would get slipped quite hard on this as well. But still, in my mind, this kind of feels smarter because in this case, you know, let's say that the book on FXS was kind of well populated to both sides. On USDC, you know, it was very one-sided. So like I said, that the sharp move to the downside would slip you out much worse basically than on something like this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at my notes. What type of trade I've taken? I've taken Bitcoin long, FXS long. I've also taken LKTY, and that's quite frankly about it. I'm personally, as you discussed, as you said, with the especially more CPI, and then in 8 days we have FOMC. Obviously, we can LARP a bit about being macro experts, but basically, from my understanding, a lot of people are now comparing Bitcoin to gold. So we are going 1-in-1 with gold for now, and also I've seen almost 40% of market participants are pricing in a hike of 0 basis points, while it was 50% chance or like a probability for 50 BPS a hike just like a week ago. So I think there's so much potential uncertainty and like potential headwind in front of us. I'm looking for setups on altcoins and BTC as well.
I want to actually mention something which I kind of noticed today, and one of the reasons why I wasn't really shorting anything today. I saw some people, you know, shorting the highs from last night and even like today, and this is almost every single altcoin chart is looking like this. I will show you the example on Solana because it's like the cleanest one I could find. Take a look at difference between the high we made in January and the highs we are making today. Both of them, obviously, this is your SR flip level. This was resistance, but you know, from like a TA perspective, support and resistance or like shorting resistance is kind of the same thing. People are looking at these things very similarly, but look at the open interest on the two cases. In February, you had this huge rush of the new buyers coming into the previous level of SR, which this is instantly a very interesting opportunity to me. You know, I know that a lot of people are chasing the breakout, market is slowing down, there are no signs of bullishness all of a sudden after we make a new high. This is a perfect kind of short opportunity to me. Looking at the retest of the SR today, you know, there is not much of a buying. This was both of these moves on Sol and, like I said, on most of the altcoins today is covering and then a new high covering again. So basically people just puking out short positions that were built on Sol. Looks like they were built somewhere within this range. So this is why I'm not really interested in shorting anything at the moment. I would definitely wait for news to kind of pass out and also Bitcoin giving a little more cleaner signals. There are a few things that were heavily bought today. Optimism is one of them, I believe. Yeah, Optimism had this funny order flow thing where we had the most amount of buying basically came after we made a new highs. You can see that the perp CVD going up, open interest going up. We are basically sitting in the range. These late buyers got then saved by the market. Like overall market going to the upside, although you can see that this push on OP is quite weak compared to like BTC. But this would be one of the interesting shorts for me, basically, if market starts to turn down. I'm not trying to pick tops again, and this is quite wide, actually, but if we manage to trade under this kind of level, come for the retest, then I can clearly say that all these buyers are underwater now, basically. So Optimism is one of the great example of that. STX is also one of the great example of that, I believe, at least. Yeah, this was also heavily bought towards the move to the upside. Then we made a new high on like overall market strength. But once again, if we turn down, if Bitcoin turns down, breaking under this level, coming for the retest, you have a clear invalidation above the high, and you are also betting on that all these buyers will start to puke and you will have a much nicer short compared to basically most of the things like Solana, which is really not going up with a new market participation. So these things which were actually bought on the way down, and if overall market takes turn, are going to be your much better shorts than picking a random coins that you like. Someone mentioned ILV. Yeah, this is also one of those things. Someone seemed to be buying a lot of perps, getting on side. Now is kind of sweating, I believe. My issue with this is that I have
Looks
no idea what
very
this coin
illiquid.
is.
If you look at
Yeah.
open interest, what is it? 140k or whatever?
Yeah. This is
wow.
this is definitely not something that I trade.
Oh boy.
It's you can trade this. I'm not saying that you can't. The chart itself is looking kind of nice actually for the shorts. But yeah,
Godspeed.
with coins like this, like really good luck. That's where is the volume? I don't even have a volume here, and it's not even here on live with us. So I'm not sure what daily volume. This has the issue with this obviously is that there is a huge chance you will get kind of fucked quite bad with like these wicks basically. So in general, for what I do, obviously this is different from like based on size you are trading, but I'm really staying with the coins with at least 50 million daily volume. It's kind of a sweet spot. I was first looking at 100 million at least, and at least 10 million in open interest would be my kind of benchmark for the coins to trade. So
yeah, basically, if I may add, just if anybody's shilling this setup on this, just don't trade it. Like, please do your research. This is just like really.
I think there was one of the coins, the clay, and this was actually fairly like liquid. It had decent amount of volumes here, but you can see these wicks basically. This is what happens on your like low volume coins and this had a lot of open interest even, but this was still coin under. These are the coins that basically had like zero volume throughout the most of the time. Then they pumped quite a bit, so a lot of people find attention in them, but they are still very liquid shit coins. If you have coin with 5 million daily volume throughout the last 6 months and then it pumps to 100 million in one day and then it starts drifting down, you are really exposing yourself to like this huge risk of, let's say that I will enter the short somewhere here with a tight stop and the market does this, and in this week I'm definitely not getting filled at the area where my stop is. I will eat a huge slippage. And especially in crypto, where I got slipped even on coins like BNB or ETH or, coins where you wouldn't expect slippage. Like this is one of the account destroyer type of coins where you can really hurt yourself quite badly. So definitely, I have no idea what ILV is, but I would really try to kind of stay away from like low volume coins basically.
Yeah, also maybe to add to STX, I think what is interesting in terms of people who love correlations, but STX is one of the top gainers today. But also, it's like, quote unquote, you will hate me for this, but let me cook, as they say. It is like supposed to be something to do with Bitcoin DeFi, right? So it's like
I still have absolutely zero idea what STX is.
Yeah, that's Bitcoin DeFi, right? So it's doing Bitcoin's doing well, Bitcoin DeFi doing well.
Yeah, and it's like it's on Ethereum or
no,
I'm not going to.
It's like actually they do something on Bitcoin. I didn't read the tech much, but basically a lot of people consider that being your like higher beta play, right? So with Bitcoin halving.
Yeah, definitely. This looks awesome from like on the left side of the chart, basically. It's
just like zoom in, and you're good.
Yeah. No, yeah, but just the point here is that, and you can see on STX, even to the push 3 upside, how many people were, interested in buying this. Once this started to fail, these are your best shorts overall because they have this real participation. It's like I mentioned this last time, basically, like how crypto is correlated, how these these coins that people seem to love for whatever reason, and they think they are special. They in reality they are just kind of run on overall market correlation. So you definitely should be picking up things that are kind of up with like a real market participation. This is live with us. If you go to this alt derivatives charts, you can sort things by open interest, and you can see USDC. Biggest open interest today is on USDC. But you can see you have coins. Basically, there is STX, there is Maker. These coins in general had some sort of like new money coming in, some sort of participation in them. So if they will fail, a lot of this participation will have to unwind their positions, and these are going to be your best shorts, basically.
So yeah, like maybe to add or like sum it up in a way, like the narratives were not really present last few days simply because Bitcoin was leading the dance so much, right? So on Thursday and Friday, all the altcoins dumped 20% with the USDC FUD. You have had a lot of people just aping, blindly buying the dip. And then obviously Bitcoin is up like 20% in the last 2 days. So who's even trading these altcoins, right? I mean, the fact that USDC has most open interest is telling.
Yeah, I think like with the altcoins, we last week we talked about the LSD narrative and ETH Shanghai and all these things. But when you have banks in the US going under, and you have CPI and all this kind of major things happening, then obviously these kind of go aside a little bit. So yeah, SNX is also the chart that I was looking at today. If you're going to take a look at this, it's basically the same as STX. You have this kind of push of new buyers. They keep adding. If you manage to lose these levels, then this would be a great short. So yeah, I'm just going to check questions. Someone asked you how long you are holding trades, which from your paper handing Bitcoin long, and is definitely not 7 days.
Yeah, I think I also used CMM, and I basically was holding ETH short since like end of January. So if I believe it like made an average 7 days, while in reality it's usually like below 1 day always.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's
a little bit skewed. Like I have in my journal, I have like 5-day average holding period, but in reality it's like a one big swing that took a long time. But my average holding period is like within a day or like a couple of days, which I believe is like this kind of sweet spot. Because with altcoins especially, day trading is kind of tricky. Like lower time frames tend to be kind of thin, so you don't really want to be day trading that much, but holding between 1 or 3 days, is kind of like what I feel like is a sweet spot for these things to move.
Especially given the volatility, right?
Yep.
Like last like 4 days, you go to bed, or I literally went away from the computer for 2 hours to do anything but crypto, and the market moved like 15% Bitcoin and 25% altcoins. Like you cannot do this stuff without being. I simply cannot focus on my normal life when I have positions open.
Yeah, it's definitely that kind of constant phone checking, even though price moved like $1 in last 2 minutes you looked previously. But yeah, definitely. And especially if you trade like altcoins, and we both talk about this, that we don't really hold that many positions. I know some people on Twitter have like 20 trades open at the same time. I try to keep it kind of cool between like one to 3 trades. Yeah, like you need to find this kind of balance basically between being too kind of psyched out about every single move.
Yeah, so I guess what is the game plan for like next 3 days? Tomorrow, wait for CPI reaction. I guess everybody forgot that we have CPI tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely we have CPI. I will show this on a BTC chart. Let me just quickly zoom out on hourly time frame. This is your last CPI, okay? This move from 22 to 25K was your last CPI, so a lot of volatility. You will also get much cleaner picture after the event. Usually this is the release, you will have some fuckery on lower time frames, but then market should kind of establish some sort of new prices. So yeah. Someone asking, I will check real quickly. Delta bars on TradingView. Yeah, I have. Let me switch this real quick to TradingView then. There are delta bars. These are open interest delta bars. This is the name of the indicator. Footprint. See, yeah, I'm looking mostly at footprint actually rather than CVD. And open interest for me is like a general kind of idea to pay attention to, but then with footprint you really want to see that kind of a absorption. If I will show you this on a exo charts again, things like this is the area where I was buying today on BTC. We are coming under that. I will show this on Bybit actually, because this was one of the cases where Bybit apes were a little too eager to go short. I don't usually scroll through the exchanges because it should be kind of the same everywhere, but for this example, the Bybit was actually a cleaner one. You can see you have a level of support right here. You move under that. Large negative delta, large negative delta, large negative delta. People are trying to force the breakdown. We have negative delta right here. This is my signal to go long basically. And this is one of the things that I generally, as someone asked, the reclaim in footprint is this thing right here. Doesn't matter if I want to, go with the trend or against it. If I have a level where I see, we can see that this is the weekend low. Like we made the low on the weekend, huge negative delta, huge selling within the candle. Market is not responding to that overall. Then we went sideways basically because it was weekend after all. But once you start to gain these levels, then this is your kind of good area, because market is basically telling you that something that like traders try to do something in here and they were not successful in doing it. And if market shows you strength, then it's a good thing to go against them. Yes, there is EXO in there is ES in EXO chart as well. You just need the DX feed for that.
Actually, there is a couple narratives I could mention. In 2 weeks, I know that in crypto terms it's like 5 months, but there is the long-awaited ZK EVM upgrade for Matic, which I think is like a very popular normie coin, and it could like get the potentially sell the news, and it's been trading relatively well. So if you want to open the chart,
I think only narrative for Matic is if SZ and EXO are long or short. This definitely doesn't really, it completely died down. I like when it comes to the ZK rollup, I still have no idea what that is actually. So I'm not sure if that's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be bullish, right? But yeah, the Matic chart is looking solid actually. Like we had this move to the downside, we had kind of a level of support right here in this area. We are reclaiming the structure there as well. So, this is not looking actually bad too. If you said it's in 2 weeks?
Yeah, exactly, in 14 days.
Okay, so yeah, I think, if market holds to be strong, then this is looking solid. Obviously, the issue with this is, Bitcoin is back towards February high, Matic is back towards March 7th high. so yeah, the difference in strength between these two things is not. It's fairly obvious that Bitcoin is much stronger, and if Bitcoin just managed to roll over from here, then Matic is. I don't think it's going to. The narrative is not going to play that much role, in my opinion. Or you can get like some outlier move, usually a few days before the release, right? These things kind of go.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the play could be like the sort of, I like to call these like you short the old narrative and you long the new one, assuming there's a new one, right? God knows what happens in 2 weeks. Like, I mean, we can literally have 7 exchanges going bankrupt in the meantime, and all. So I'm not even gonna entertain the idea of making any sort of prediction. Someone is asking win rate in CMM. The answer to this is Google something called martingale. It's a short answer.
Win rate, in my opinion, it's not really kind of important thing. Like my win rate after these 2.5 months is around 50%, and yeah, it's the win rate is really not the thing that you should be paying that much of attention to. Obviously, if you have like win rate like 5%, that's something clearly wrong. But in general, you want to take kind of a trades with better risk to reward ratio. I can show this super quickly on the FXS. I took a trade here. As I mentioned, I was buying a reclaim of the level with all the order flow that I mentioned. Long here, stop under there. I close the trade here for 2.8 R basically, which means that if I'm risking $1,000 on this trade, if this market goes right to this level, I'm using hard stops. I don't think maybe Runner is not using hard stops.
Depends. I usually have time-based invalidations, which I guess could explain after your example, so we
Okay.
don't jump.
Yeah, so I will just I'm like super boomer with this. I learned to trade with hard stops. There was like billion times where I got stopped out to the tick and market completely reversed, but I'm still using hard stops. Even, sometimes, for example, I have like a wider stop, which is my hard stop, and then if market would just start to break down, I close the trade manually. But because of the hard stop, I'm able to calculate the risk reward on the trade. So, let's say that I'm risking $1,000 here with stop under there. So market comes here, I'm losing $1,000. Market moves to the upside. I close the trade here. I made 2.9k. Looking at the maker, which rallied much more. Let's say that I am buying somewhere in this area basically, because this is your kind of structure reclaim, and compared to the FXS that had this kind of attempt to the downside right here, which narrows my invalidation a little bit. This is like price action stuff, but I have a reasoning here to narrow my invalidation a little bit compared to maker, which is having this kind of drift to the upside. So my stop realistically has to go under this low. And even though if I would hold maker and closed it like in a top tick, which I closed FXs in the morning in this consolidation basically, even though the maker outperformed, eventually I would be making less money basically on the trade, because this is only 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio. So just little kind of technical stuff is that it's not always about the picking the coin which is the best performing one, but it's picking the coin that is like best technically lining up with your system. And for me at least, it's all about the risk to reward ratio in the end.
Let me actually, for like first time in this stream, switching to my screen, I want to
Yeah, sure.
maybe quickly show what coin was moving today, FXS.
Someone is asking about, is Nomad a good trader? Yeah, you should Google how he tanked Bitcoin by like 10% out of some Twitter beef, basically. That was a funny thing that happened a few years ago. So yeah, definitely. He is. Quickly, questions. There are some questions for difference between perp and spot CVD is kind of a trickiest thing when it comes to order flow. I pay little attention to this on coins where spot CVD is largely leading compared to perp CVD. This can be a sign of a early strength even when you don't have that kind of a build up in open interest. So yeah.
Yeah, here I mean is a good example. For me, I made a video about it. I'm not gonna go into detail into this. If you're interested, you can watch. But basically, my bread and butter scalping altcoins is something I call like time-based invalidation, which is, I just made up this term. It's really never heard of anybody use it that way. Obviously, English is not my first language, as you can hear from my beautiful accent. But basically, I'm expecting a reaction after big liquidation immediately. And this is 5-minute chart. Let me go to 1-minute chart. I'm not going to give you exact number, but very quickly you can target something between, whatever. But with the big liquidations, you expect a move to happen within like next 30 to 120 seconds, if that makes sense. So here is a good example. So this is a 1-minute chart. You have big liquidation. And if I flip short somewhere in this candle, right, and it does not move within next 30 to 60, 90 seconds, if like you don't get the reaction back in this case, then I just cut it. Very simply put. So this would be for scalping altcoins, but that's not something I've been doing a lot lately. I've been simply betting on narratives. I mean, I'm still, I want to say I don't still have a system that probably Adam has. Meaning, if you watched his bootcamp, he still applies the same concepts. I do flip flop a bit. Like a few weeks ago, I was just trading news, right? So you would have either your own terminal, or you would have 3 of alpha news or DB on notifications. And if you're quick to execute via terminal, via CLI commands, you can catch long, but mostly I would just short them, right? Because every time, I'm just gonna draw it, and I'm too lazy to find examples, but every time you have these news, they're completely bought by people trading like Medvard Capital. So like price action looks something like this. Then maybe you get second leg and then it dies. So I was just basically, me, Mode, and a lot of my friends, we just trade these Burj Khalifas basically on the way down. And someone asking about the win rate, I know this will retrace. They always retrace. Every single Elon Musk tweet, with Elon Musk you often have a couple legs, but it always slides down back to the pre-pump price every single time, honestly. You just need to manage, obviously your sizing will not be like, I'm not getting liquidated if it does another 10%. I'm just happily ladder in because I know I'll eventually make money. So I hope that's good enough of an explanation. I know that's not really like a system, but
there is a difference between like unexpected and expected news. Someone is asking about like if I consider, or if we consider news when trading. As I don't day trade at the moment, I'm not actually. I have a few rules when it comes to news, basically, but I'm only applying these to like FOMC, CPI, NFP, and high impact US news, not like someone tweeting something, basically. The simplest rule if you want to trade news is that you don't want to be placing limit order within the daily range of the market. Okay, so if this is, let's say that this is your daily candle. Oh yeah, shit. Let me change. You can see trading view now. Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Let's say that this is your daily candle, and we have CPI in 5 minutes. If I am in an open trade, I want to move my stop loss to the place where I'm not going to lose full 1R when the news go against me. I got slipped 5R on CPI trade last year in ETH. I got slipped another around 6R during the high impact news in BNB. So definitely, and it wasn't, the size wasn't that like insane big size. So if you definitely think that you will get away with it in these like bigger coins, there is high chance you won't. So my rule for the news trading is that if there is CPI coming in the 5 minute and I have a level, for example, let's say I would want to buy this, the limit order has to be outside of the range of the daily candle. Okay, so it has to be either under the wick or above the wick. Okay, so it's like a simplest rule you can apply to this. I think, let's say on BTC, we were at this is the last CPI, we were trading somewhere around this area. This wick was not a thing back then. I was placing a limit order inside this wick right here. It was outside of the daily range, and you will see how much money it will save you in the long run. Just if we are coming into high impact news, make sure that your positions are at the point where you are not losing full amount of one risk unit basically, and if you want to place new trades, make sure they are outside of the range of the current day. Name of indicator is Caulfield volume extension. So yeah, this is a little bit for me on the news trading. I know Runner is trading a lot of these like event news. I don't do that. I was never good at scalping actually. Like one of the things which I'm like not good at all. I was always kind of day trading, picking, even when I was trading like tick charts or 5 minute chart, I was always trying to capture like a daily move, not a next 10 minutes basically. So not something that I do.
If I may add, I guess it's quite obvious after these 2 hours of us streaming now together, we do both use order flow, but use it slightly different, which I think might be, that's why like we think might be kind of interesting to give like a couple perspectives. Because if I learn something after watching a bootcamp like 4 times, because I'm just a slow learner, I guess, or or just a lot of new information, you kind of have to apply it yourself. It's not like I would not advise anybody trying to trade like me, or at least like try to trade more like Adam than me. And if these high impact news, just if you want to trade, just use smaller size. I would say like you don't have to.
Yeah.
You really need to know how to adjust your size at all times. If we have 20%, I don't know, just size smaller, and you can, I guess, kind of practice your system. I guess you really need to practice sizing.
The only time where I actually traded a kind of news release in crypto, and this is till this day like one of my best trades and kind of like funniest things that ever happened to me in crypto, was in I believe it was February 2021 when Tesla bought BTC. It's this candle right here. And I was just hanging around in Discord, and someone posted the SEC filling like 5 minutes before it went live actually. And all the people that were there just like maxed long to this, and yeah, this was very nice trade. Definitely the situation that, you know, we were in a bull run, so you don't want to really fade that. But yeah, like a lot of the times, especially now when, you know, market is overall trending kind of down or not too attractive, you know, most of these news will be fades.
Yep. On long enough time frame, you're right with fading these news, basically. But manage your risk at your own risk, basically.
You need to be basically able to cut things very quickly when it comes to these things, because, you know, there are situations where, and you know, like trading the like news by themselves, you know, in legacy markets, from my experience where I traded, you know, bonds and stuff like that, you know, even like a lot of times you have bad news and market goes up, you know, you have good news and market goes down, you know, there are much smarter people than you trading these things, so definitely kind of news trading is complicated, and you really should be trading this on very quickly, getting in and out very quickly.
Okay, I think.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
Someone just asked about the legacy markets. No, the order flow in crypto is much more kind of retail driven and apes driven compared to something like ES. You still have some dump trades in legacy markets, but it's not that frequent actually. And yeah, it's possible to highlight certain patterns in trade markets. And I don't understand the last question. Yeah, it's hard to trade ES in London hours, definitely. It's like it's basically algos. Like ES is traded, you know, by like real people from the US Open. During the London hours, you have basically just bots trading and doing some weird shit. You will have nice trades from time to time during London hours, but it's like, you know, very hard to get anything from order flow, since it's very thin compared to normal trading hours.
Yeah, I think we can slowly wrap up if there's no more questions.
Yeah, we've been streaming for an hour now, so maybe you should give like one more kind of breakdown of things, because we, you know, it's definitely, market is highly uncertain at the moment, you know, with the news and everything, but maybe give like little shorter watch list, what to pay attention to for upcoming week would be nice.
Sure. So I guess my watch list is, for now, gold, Bitcoin. No, I'm joking. With altcoins, related to altcoins.
You should switch to your screen.
I did.
Or you did? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
we just have. I just copied your trading view color, so.
Okay.
I'm personally looking. I mean, it's in my Discord as well, but I like shorting more, but that's why I don't speak about trades that often publicly, because I just overall think shorting is not for everybody and people size up incorrectly. But I'm still watching LQTY and through. First, I do believe that this was not an basically. I'm expecting more news related to USDC. I don't think federal government and all these guys who are not our friends, I expect them to, you know, to bring...
The chart is looking nice as well. Like if we manage to retrace, if I see it correctly, like 2. There is
Yeah.
this kind of weekend consolidation after perhaps got listed. This might be still a decent long, yeah, somewhere around this area.
Yeah, but just please keep in mind with this coin, it's extremely illiquid. It really is. So for me, I'm watching the same old coins that I feel like I understand. What I like to do, if I trade a coin well, I just like to trade it because I develop this sort of feel for it. So for me, there's no shame. I'm gonna be watching Matic for potential swing short or pair short, like pair trade short, and obviously still ETH Shanghai is still a thing. So for that reason, I'm gonna be watching Lido. And honestly, I'm just gonna take it easy. I'm not gonna be a hero. I might actually send some more money off chain just for things to settle. Just because the Bitcoin is up 25% and everybody and Arthur Hayes is calling for a bull run does not mean I'm gonna open like 50% net worth longs or shorts. I'm just probably happy to sit it out and see what's up. How about you? I'm gonna switch to
what's ETH Shanghai again?
Okay, ETH Shanghai is basically, long story short, there's a lot of ETH staked since like late 2020, 2021. And obviously people could stake in between, but you could not unstake. So it's like, it's not really like, staking.
It's like a Ponzi scheme. You can put money in, but you can put it out.
Yeah, and basically ETH Shanghai means you can actually start putting money out.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, okay. That sounds extremely weird, but okay.
So a lot of people are speculating in 2 minutes elevator pitch, think that this is extremely bullish. A lot of people think this is extremely bearish. I'm not here to make like predictions. I just think we'll get volatility. So that's for that reason I'm gonna trade higher beta ETH plays, which for me is optimism
it's like
and Lido. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
basically.
Wi-Fi, if that's pronounced.
Maybe I just don't like that coin.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the LDR for me.
Okay. Yeah. So what I will be watching, I think this is going to be a week for me where I will actually pay more attention to BTC and ETH, based on how much shit is going on right now, and especially based on the fact how well BTC performed compared to all of these altcoins. Because obviously, one of the things that you don't want for it to happen, which happened to me at least this week, was that I focused a little bit more on the outside and kind of missed much bigger gains from Bitcoin, especially since I traded Bitcoin for much longer and I can put more size to it as well. So as I see, Bitcoin being 11% up for today compared to ETH, which is like 6, and Bitcoin is basically like one of the best performers today, percentage-wise at least. I want to be kind of keeping more eye to BTC and ETH. And when it comes to the altcoins, I will be most likely looking only at the coins that had that open interest increase during the push to the upside today, which is going to be Optimism. I think if I will share the chart here on Optimism very quickly as well, is looking quite strong, although we had that kind of a not that intelligent buyer in this top tick right here, but on the daily time frame it resembles a lot of Bitcoin price action. Just weaker, but still, we are reclaiming yearly VWAP, we are reclaiming this high. Volume profile is really kind of scattered around completely, so when the volume profile looks like this, I'm not paying much of attention to it. But yeah, Optimism had a kind of real buyer stepping in. The STX had some real buyers stepping in here as well. This looks a little more like fate to me rather than continuation. Yeah, generally coins that are that are up to date on some real actual buying rather than things that just kind of went with the overall trend. But like I said, I think I want to this week keep it really sweet and simple and just look at the boomer BTC coin basically.
Okay, cool. Okay, guys, we'll
quickly. I will just quickly answer some questions. At least this one, because this used to be my huge issue with trading when there is different price action on the exchange. sometimes like you take lows on Bybit, you don't take them on Binance. Yeah, this is a amazing crypto thing. You need to kind of get used to it. Generally, you want to see things taken on Binance perps as they have more volume. So yeah, this would be kind of this is why I'm actually, even though I'm trading on Bybit right now, I'm using Binance perp charts because they have more volume, so it's more significant to me. Okay, I think that's kind of going to be it for this week. I hope you enjoyed the stream. If I will very, very quickly change Windows back to my browser. Thank you guys for the attention. As I mentioned at the start of the stream, if you want to get free access to Coin Market Manager, and as all of you should be journaling your trades, which every time I ask on Twitter, no one is journaling their trades. Good thing about CMM is it basically does it for you. It pulls all the data. So if you want to get access and play around with that for free, you can just sign up with the Bybit link in the description. You will get the lifetime access for the whole thing for free. So yeah, thank you for your attention, and I think we will see you next Monday.
Yep. If market doesn't go to zero, which is a high probability.
Yeah, it's quite a high probability.
Okay, guys, stay safe. Thank you. Bye-bye.